All right, we are in the double digits now. Welcome to our 10.1 in a video series I call Design and Code My Personal Website in 12 Hours. After this, we only have 2 hours left. And I hope we can do it all in time. We got a lot to do. Just a review from what we did last week, the vine right above in the design behind me, and then what we're doing this week is this right here. Right here on the left is the Dribbble section, and right here on the right is the Behance section. Now these are two kind of design portfolio sites that I am most active on, however not completely active. I don't think I've updated any one of them like this year. But if I wanted to show my work, this would be how I would do it. And let's just get started. As with the other videos, I need to start this one by creating the files that we're going to be working in. I might speed this part of the video up just for fun. Okay, so as a review, we've added a home-design.sas file and included it into our main.css file. And we've also created a section-design.jade and included it into our index.html. So we're ready to begin coding. So the first thing we're doing is we're just looking in this section-design.jade, and we notice that because we duplicated it from the columns.jade, it has a bunch of columns in it, and those columns are reflected already in our design because we're using Gulp and it auto updates. So let's identify the column structure that we want to utilize for this section. So let's go back to our design and check it out. So what we want here are two kind of halfway. This is unique in that we're splitting the design basically in half for two different backgrounds. So I would like to use the call-50 on there, and then also notice that inside of the call-50 we want centered elements, something similar to something, we haven't exactly done something like this yet. Probably the most similar to this right here, where it's in a 50 and then in a centered as well. Probably similar to the article section the most, but there's going to be different in a key way. Okay, so let's go to the 50s and we'll just start there. And this is what I'm talking about, this last one here. So get rid of the other ones. And we're going to say flex center, yes, and then flex, or call 50 flex center, that's correct, and then a call 1 inside of it. That's correct on both accounts, because we want both of these columns to basically be the same thing. So I'll just copy these classes and put it onto this flex50. That all looks good. Let's save the design and see how that looks in terms of our grid. Yeah, so we have, let's pull up our inspector and show you, we have two columns that are floating inside of a 50% wide situation, and then they're inside of the section. All right, let's just start with filling out these sections with content. In our code, we're just going to delete the lorem here because that's not what we're doing. We actually want to fill up, if we look at the design again, we have two headlines, updating Dribbble, and then the other one is and Behance. So I'm going to copy this one, and we're going to put that in this paragraph, but it's going to be called a, what's that class, a home lead? Home lead, and then it's going to be called updating Dribbble. In a similar fashion, this next one is going to be called and Behance. Okay, cool. And then they're going to have right under that, some, boxes. And then right under that, we're going to have the call to action. So that's and then the href, because it's an anchor tag. And then we're going to call it home-cta. And the first one is see more on Dribbble. 1, 2, 3, 3 Bs. And then we're going to do that again for see more on Behance. Cool. We should have two headlines and then under them two call to actions when this renders. Okay, that looks good. Next, let's fill in the content of the actual thumbnails. Let's go back to the design and show you what I mean. there are the thumbnails here, and these are from Dribbble and from Behance. And I've already got a bunch selected, and if I go into my images, you'll see this green means I added them recently and it has not been merged yet. That's the cool thing about Atom, is that it keeps track of your GitHub commit. So all of the green that you see in the sidebar is added, and the orange or yellow or whatever that is edited, and then the gray is untouched. So that's just a little tidbit for you. But anyway, I have all these thumbnails of projects that I'm going to be adding into the design. I've already extracted them from Behance and from Dribbble, and so we need to place them. So when I place them, I'm going to be doing, they're all going to be links, right? So I'm going to call it an anchor tag, and I'll just call that like design image link. And in the link, I'll actually put the image itself. Image src equals, and then the source of it, which if we go back to our tree, is going to be in assets /img /design-img and then you know, whatever they are. So the first one in Dribbble would be like drib-1.jpg. Save. Let's see what happens here on our code. There you go, midlife crisis. Okay, so the image shows up and it's fantastic. The only thing we need to remember is that we need to get the anchor, we need to get the URL for every like place it needs to go to. If they want to see this, you know, the real project on Behance or on Dribbble, they're going to go there. So we need that link, and then we need the thing right here, and that's all going to be the same. So since we're going to have all these projects, and there's 6 projects for each, for Dribbble and for Behance, let's abstract that code chunk right there and put it in a mixin so that we can easily replicate and duplicate. I'll just write the word mix in and give it a name. I'll call it design img, and that should be fine for now. And I'll show you how to extend that in a second. But we have this mixin called design img, and we're just going to bump the code block under, because remember Jade is all about nesting properly and indenting. So we're going to bump that code under the mixin, and now it's a part of the mixin. So how to call that mixin in, I'm going to go plus design dash img. Looking good. So if I save it and wait for it to refresh, there should be no significant changes. See? Because all I did was just abstract that code block and call it in once. But as I said, there's going to be 6. There's going to be 6 of these design blocks, these thumbnail blocks for each. What are these things called? Like portfolio sites. So here, let's just quickly throw those in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to do the same for Behance. Okay, great. Now let's spend some time with this mixin, going back and making it so it's easy to enter the right content. So we don't want all of these thumbnails to be this midlife crisis design. We want them all to be, you know, the various ones that they should be, the ones that I've selected before I started this video. How we're going to do that, the few things that do change are, number 1, the link. So in our mixin, we put a paren after the name of the mixin, and we can start defining things. The first thing we want to define is the link. The second thing we want to define is what the actual image is. So we're going to put img. So let's go find the link where the link needs to be and put hash curly brace, that's, there we go, curly, and put link. And then let's go to source. We know that all of them are going to be in this folder, but we don't know what their name is, and we don't know what their extension is. There's some pings in there. So we'll put hash curlies, not p, hash curlies and img. Now to pull in those arguments from the mixin into each one of these instances of the mixin, we have to do the same behind it. So we're going to make a paren, and then in the order that we define them in the mixin, we're going to say what the what the values are for those arguments. And the first one is the link. So I have it on my clipboard in quotations. I'm going to put the link there, and then I'm going to do a comma, and then the next argument is the image name, and that one's going to be drib-1.jpg. JPEG. Okay, let's save that out. Now what should happen when this refreshes? All of those images of the midlife crisis should disappear, and only one should be available. Yes, because all these URLs are now broken because they're not defined in the subsequent mixins down below. Great. So I'm going to take a minute and probably make this go really fast so that I can quickly fill in just like the boring stuff, the URLs and the links, and then the source for the images. So be with you in 1 second. Okay, I lied about changing all the URLs. I don't really care right now. I'll do that later. But what I wanted to show you is the images themselves. So I have all the correct URLs, and all the images have changed. I think all the images are pretty good right now. The only thing we have to do that we haven't done yet is actually to name the sections. I'm just going to call this section design. Saved. Okay, now let's head over to the styles, and we're going to start with section.design. And there's a lot we need to do for these styles to make them look right. Let's go back to our design and reference them. So these images are two up, side by side, and we got colors in the background, and we got this background pattern and everything. So let's just start with the images, because those are kind of like the most annoying bit when they're not right. So what we called them, right, was design image link. And we want them to be side by side, like I said, so we're going to float them left. And in order to fit floated left, they need to be width 50%, because that won't, ooh, do you see what happened? Look at this. Okay, so we floated the images left, and then we said width 50. And remember, the design image link is a href, it's an anchor tag, which is which can't take dimension on it because it's an inline element. And because of that, see this text how it floated up on the right of it? That's because this image is floated left, so text naturally wraps around floated elements. This is actually the use case of the float. That's kind of funny. I didn't expect that because I wasn't thinking about it. If I was thinking about it, I would have said display block. Oh, again, there I am, width. Okay, there we go. Now we have the images that are 50% wide, and oh, so this is interesting. The containers of the images are 50%. See this? But look at the one next to it. Right there. They're like these little squares, but at the same time, the images that are inside of the containers are sticking out. So what we want to say is design image link. If there's an image inside of that, we'll say max width is 100%. And that will shrink the whole thing down to what they should be. Like more, yeah, that's good, that's good. Now you see this, this drop shadow? It's going all the way up to this whole block because these are still floating left, and the button container is floating all the way up to the top. Let me show you. If I hover over home CTA, it's this whole thing. So we need to do a clear fix right after this last one. So let's go into our section here and add a new file, or add a new line, and we'll say div, actually just do class CF, I guess, for clear fix. Class CF. Okay. And in the section design, we need a new element here called class CF. And in that, we'll say clear, not clear fix, clear both. There we go. That fixed it. And we actually want to add a little bit of margin to the top of that, just while we're at it, because you'll notice in the design, there needs to be a little bit of love right there. So save. Oh, not margin top, margin bottom. There we go. Okay, that's good for now. Let's go back to these links here. You see the gap below the images here? That's because the images themselves are still inline blocks. So let's change their display type to block. And we should get a tight, yeah, nice and tight. Now that they're nice and tight, we can be more predictable about how we're going to display it, because we do want, looking at the design, we do want a little gap between them and actually a border and a drop shadow. Let's do that. Let's describe this with code right here. So the border looks like maybe like 2 pixels, solid white. And we have this drop shadow, which is like a box shadow. It looks to be about the same style of the button itself. So let's just quickly open the button Sass and just grab this line here. Cheating, I know, but okay. Cool. Now because we added the border on it, let's not stop there. Let's go let's say border, drop shadow, and then want to add some margin between them too. So margin like 5 pixels all the way around, top, bottom, left, right. Okay, now because we added these new dimensions and the width is 50%, it's going to start wrapping down because you can't fit this element, which is 50% of the width, plus 2 pixels border, plus 5 pixels margin into one line. So we need to go up to the width 50% and then compensate by doing a calc, putting it in a paren. We want to say 50% minus 2 borders on each side of 2, so it's 4 plus 10, so 14. So the 10 comes from the 2 margins on each side, left and right. So let's save that, and then we go. There we are. So that's all looking phantasmish. I do not like how this headline is wrapping. I do not like it one bit. I do not like it with a fox or in a box. So I'm actually going to go in and override the size of this headline and possibly even the call to action size too. And while I'm at it, it should be centered. So section design, make a new line for home lead. That's what that line is. And we'll say text align center. That's good. And then font size. Let's just say with 30. Yeah, 31. 30. Okay, 30 is good. It's fine with me. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you guys. Don't worry. 30 is good. And we also want to do the same kind of thing to the home.cta or -cta. I'm going to change its font size to 24 pixels. There, it just gives it a little bit better balance. The string of see more on Dribbble is a little long, and this balances it out a little bit better. Now let's make the difference between these sections really stand out. So let's go back to our markup. Get rid of button Sass. Go back to our markup. Each one of these columns has its own design. So I'll just put a on the column 50 dot Behance. Cool. So now I can call it here in this design. I'll say Dribbble your background color, it should be Dribbble color. which I know is EA4C89. I know that because I'm crazy. Oh, look at this. Our home lead needs to be color white. Actually, all of it needs to be color white. There we go. All right, so you got the background color there. We also have a background image that I haven't shown you guys yet. So the background image in the design is this map, which is just like a design, like a topography map. You know, you can like a map of elevations and stuff. I just thought it was just an interesting design. Has no real you know, value or meaning to it. It's just decoration, which is fine sometimes. So let's get that. I have that extracted already, and it's going to be called URL assets image design bg.ping. Cool. And I think it's okay if it kind of repeats itself. I could do it better, make the lines connect a little bit better, but anyway, we'll talk about that later maybe. So let's say position, put it in the center. Repeat is happening by default. Okay, and next let's add some padding. Let's just say 50 on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Good. I think we're going to do the same thing for the Behance section, except for we'll just override it a little bit right here. So we'll say and Behance. It's a weird selector, but I just want to do a quick override. Background color. And Behance's color is #17, I have it written down here, 69FF. It's blue. Cool. Where's that CTA? Okay, here at home CTA, we'll say color. I want to add the Behance pink, or the dribble pink. And then let's make an exception for Behance as well here. And we'll say color. I'm going to get that blue. Okay, now the CTA is nice and blue. Pink, blue. Good. Good. The only other thing that's busted right now is the padding on the section right here is 50 pixels, which we could just remove here. Padding 0 pixels, and then because we added it to the dribble and the what's it called, Behance section internally, we don't need it wrapped around through the the wrapper. What's going on here? Section, why is it not? I'm going to inspect the section and look at it. Okay, the padding is getting applied and then it's getting overwritten because instead of just section design, it's home sections and then design. All right, let's just make a little bit of a stronger selector. Say home sections design. Put that padding over there. That should win. Looking fantastic. Looking fantastic. Let's check out how this works out on mobile. Go down, down, down. There we are. And pinch it in. And pinching. Sidebar goes away. Looks good. Pinching. What's happening now? Updating dribble. This is interesting. Okay, so we're still 2 up, which is good. We have this situation where the thumbnail is, because I said max width, where I said, right here, I said max width. So it's not going beyond its natural size, which is like 200 pixels or something. So if I say width and say, even if you're 200 pixels wide, go further, it should just grow to fill its spot. Maybe a little bit blurry images, but such is life. That worked. Okay, let's bring it back down. Looking good. Looking good. Around about there is as small as it will go. The links are not wrapping, the headline is not wrapping. I think I like it right there, but what if we did more? Whoa! Oh, a cliffhanger! Tune in tomorrow for the exciting conclusion. But before you click off, I want to tell you how much I love my patrons. Isn't it a wonderful world where people like this exist? Patrons support the show by pledging a few dollars for one episode a week, and the money goes entirely back into the show. So I've been able to purchase things like that green screen that makes Little Trav possible, and the GoPro in which I do the vlogs. It's really awesome. But patrons also receive other benefits. I share with them videos a few days early, and we recently started patron-led hangouts where we've been discussing Jade and Sass and also WordPress recently. And you can see the past episodes of those hangouts on a playlist on the DevTips channel page. Find out more about becoming a patron yourself at patreon.com/devtips. And I'll see you tomorrow for 10.2. And until then, keep on hacking.